There is a clear liquid. Costs about $2 per use. You brush it onto rusty metal. 20 minutes later, the rust is gone. Not covered up, not sanded off. Chemically transformed into a hard, black, stable surface ready for paint. No grinding. No wire wheel for 3 hours. No paying a body shop $900 to cut out a rust spot and weld in new metal. The auto body repair industry in this country generates over $40 billion a year. A huge chunk of that is rust repair. Sanding discs, primers, fillers, labor hours. The entire system is built on the assumption that rust must be physically removed through sweat, noise, and money. Now imagine a substance that makes rust inert with a paintbrush. Imagine knowing what the Navy knew in 1947. Imagine paying $3 once and watching brown, flaking cancer turn into a black paintable shield in less time than it takes to watch a sitcom. This is not a gimmick. This is high school chemistry, and the paint industry has spent decades making sure you walk right past it. Let's rewind to the 1940s. World War II is raging. The United States Navy has a massive problem. It's called salt water and steel. Thousands of ships, millions of square feet of metal surface, all of it rusting, all of it needing constant maintenance in conditions where sandblasting and repainting are slow, expensive, and often impossible at sea. The Navy needed something you could brush onto a rusty hatch in the middle of the Pacific, something that would stop the rust right there, without grinding, without a full repaint crew. Just stop it, stabilize it. Buy time until the ship could hit dry dock. Chemists had known about the reaction for decades. Tannic acid, the same stuff that makes tea brown and wine taste dry, reacts with iron oxide. It converts it into ferric tannate, a stable, inert, bluish-black compound that does not continue to corrode. Phosphoric acid does something similar, converting rust to iron phosphate, a hard gray layer that actually helps primers stick better. The Navy adopted it. They issued gallons of the stuff. It was standard maintenance protocol for the fleet. And for a while, in the 1950s and 60s, you could buy it at any hardware store. It was called Naval Jelly. It sat right next to the WD-40 and the motor oil. So what happened? Why did it vanish from the shelves? Why do most people under 40 have no idea this chemistry even exists? Let's follow the money. When a car starts to rust, a few things happen. The owner has 3 choices. Choice 1, ignore it and watch the car rot. Choice 2, take it to a body shop. They'll grind out the rust, treat the metal, fill the hole with body filler, sand it smooth, prime it, paint it, clear coat it. That's a $500 to $2,000 ticket per rust spot. Choice 3, buy a can of spray paint that says rust preventative on the label and pray. Notice what's missing. Choice 4, the $3 bottle of liquid that actually stops the chemical reaction. The paint and body industry has zero incentive to tell you about rust converter. A body shop makes its money on labor hours. Grinding is labor. Sanding is labor. Welding in patch panels is expensive labor. Telling a customer just brush this on and paint over it is telling the customer to go away. The paint manufacturers, they want to sell you a system. Self-etching primer. High build primer. Base coat, clear coat. Each can is $15 to $25. A rust converter is one step. One bottle, one purchase, maybe once every 2 years. The math does not work for the quarterly earnings report. And the big box stores? Shelf space is real estate. They charge manufacturers for placement. A $3 bottle of rust converter generates maybe 50 cents of profit. A display of 15 different spray paints, primers, sandpapers, and Bondo kits generates hundreds. The rust converter gets moved to the bottom shelf, then to the back corner, then to the clearance bin, then it's gone. This is not a conspiracy with secret meetings. It's simpler than that. It's the invisible hand of incentive quietly erasing a product that works too well and costs too little. Let me explain what's actually happening when you use this stuff. Because once you understand the chemistry, you'll never look at a rusty tool the same way again. Rust is iron oxide. Iron atoms on the surface of your metal react with oxygen in the air. They form a flaky, porous, reddish-brown crust. That crust does 2 terrible things. 1, it expands and flakes off, exposing fresh metal underneath to more oxygen. The rust feeds itself. 2, it holds moisture against the good metal like a wet sponge, accelerating the process. Normal paint just covers the rust. It's a blanket. But the rust is still alive under there, still holding moisture, still slowly eating the metal. Eventually, the paint bubbles up from underneath. You've seen it 1,000 times. Sanding removes the rust physically. You're grinding away the diseased layer until you hit healthy steel. It works. It's also loud, dusty, and miserable. A rust converter does neither of these things. It chemically changes the rust into something else. The active ingredient, usually tannic acid or phosphoric acid, sometimes both, reacts with iron oxide at the molecular level. Iron oxide plus tannic acid equals ferric tannate, a stable, dark, inert compound. It will not continue to rust. It is chemically dead. It also happens to be an excellent surface for paint to grip. The converted layer is microscopically rough, like fine sandpaper. Primer loves it. Iron oxide plus phosphoric acid equals iron phosphate. Same deal. Inert, stable, paint ready. The liquid soaks into the pores of the rust. It reaches iron oxide that sandpaper could never touch. It neutralizes it in place. 20 to 30 minutes later, the rusty brown surface has turned black or dark blue-gray. That's how you know it worked. The color change is the chemical reaction completing. And here's the part that sounds like a lie but isn't. This converted surface is now more resistant to future rust than bare steel ever was. You've turned the enemy into a shield. This is where most people mess up. They buy a bottle of rust converter, slap it on a flaky, scaly mess, and get disappointed. There's a technique. It's simple, but you have to follow it. Step 1. Remove the loose stuff. Rust converter works on rust, not on loose flakes that are about to fall off. Take a wire brush, a scraper, or some coarse sandpaper. Knock off anything that's loose, bubbling, or ready to crumble. You don't need to grind to shiny metal. That defeats the purpose. You just want a solid surface. If it's firmly attached, leave it. The converter will handle it. Step 2. Degrease. Oil and rust converter are enemies. If there's grease, wax, or oil on the surface, the liquid won't penetrate. Wipe it down with rubbing alcohol, acetone, or a dedicated degreaser. Let it dry completely. Step 3. Apply. Use a cheap chip brush, the kind that costs 50 cents. Pour a little converter into a plastic cup. Never dip a wet brush back into the main bottle. You'll contaminate it. Brush it on, not too thick. You want it to soak in, not puddle. Step 4. Wait, this is the magic part. Within 10 to 20 minutes, you will watch the rusty brown surface turn black. It's viscerally satisfying, like watching a time-lapse in real time. The reaction is happening right in front of you. Step 5. Second coat. Optional but recommended. For heavily rusted areas, a second light coat after the first one dries ensures complete conversion. Let it dry overnight if you can. Step 6. Paint. This is the step the instructions sometimes skip. Rust converter is not a top coat. It is a primer replacement. Once the converted surface is fully dry, usually 24 hours, you must paint over it with a real enamel, epoxy, or automotive paint. The converter stops the rust. The paint protects the converter from UV and abrasion. That's it. 20 minutes of active work. A day of drying. A part or panel that was destined for the scrapyard is now stable for years. Where to actually find it? The brands still exist. Osfo, Coroseal, Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer, Loctite Extend. They're out there. You won't find them prominently displayed. Look on the bottom shelf. Look online. Look at marine supply stores. Boaters have never stopped using this stuff. They know. And if you want to go old school, you can make a basic version yourself. Strong black tea, tannic acid, brushed onto light rust will actually convert a small amount of it. It's weak compared to the commercial stuff, but it proves the chemistry is real and ancient. The Navy figured this out 80 years ago. They were dealing with ships in salt water, the most aggressive rust environment on the planet. Their solution wasn't more grinding. It wasn't thicker paint. It was understanding the chemistry of the problem and turning the enemy against itself. The auto body industry built a $40 billion empire on the assumption that you would never learn this, that you would pay for labor instead of chemistry, that you would keep buying sandpaper, filler, and primer until the car finally gave up and you bought a new one. They didn't bury the research. They buried the shelf space. They didn't ban the product. They just stopped telling anyone it existed, and it worked. Most people restoring an old truck or fixing a rusty fender have never heard the phrase rust converter. They reach for the angle grinder. They reach for the Bondo. They reach for their wallet. But now you know. A clear liquid costs pennies per use, turns rust into a stable, paintable surface in 20 minutes, not by covering it, by changing what it is. The patents expired decades ago. The chemistry is public domain. The knowledge belongs to anyone willing to look past the front display and find the dusty bottle on the bottom shelf. This is the stuff they hoped you'd forget. Don't. The next time you see brown flakes creeping across a tool, a trailer, or a fender, you'll know exactly what to reach for, and it won't be the grinder.